I think this session is a lot less about us and about you. So you have to make things happen and we are here to help. So it depends on how many questions you ask. So you are notice, you can't sleep. I actually run a technology management consulting company. I was a software product company in Singapore. I came to hardware and digital manner. We were doing technology, which is to help society and all that, and we figured out it's a lot about connected devices and technology. So we started at Thai Bangalore, we started a special group for IoT, Internet of Things. And along the way, we need to do different. This is difficult. It cannot be done in a traditional Thai way of getting startups, getting VCs, etc. It's not going to happen. So we are learning to do it differently and explain the journey and also explain how you can use that. Okay, that's okay. So the idea is the IoT ecosystem. So my focus is IoT for India. I have a hash tweet. I would request you all to start using it, so that all of us who are interested in IoT for India have a place where we can talk and do. Later, I will introduce more resources for it. And the focus is on domestic. Things like Vishal Gozi. He has a very clear idea. International market, very clear. The focus where the help is needed. We found it when we were discussing. People who are not really embedded engineers, etc., who have great ideas, and of course, IoT is on top of that. Everybody wants to do something. They want to. For people who have a working prototype, but have problems getting to a product, to a product manufacturability, design house, etc. So my focus is more on that part of the ecosystem. I have had an opportunity to look at this work with about 60 companies. And it's a big learning. The problems are not where most people assume. It's in a different place. There are also interesting people working on the infrastructure. So 3D printing is a very large part of the prototyping journey. And I have explained to you how you can make things, small volumes you can do. I had asked Nihal, who also was a maker space here, to bring something to show, but unfortunately it didn't all happen at the right time. So otherwise I showed you how to press buttons and get PPT moving. We also have people helping develop. So it's not just end products. There are people helping build the IoT ecosystem. I'm sure that things will happen. There are also people doing something very strange. I don't know how many of you have heard of Modbus and industrial protocols. People who have come from industrial automation. That's also getting a makeover, and people are doing it. So industrial automation and are also going to change. The other thing is that it is not static. IoT is new. There is no proven model in the world. There's something in the US which you can borrow. There's the same mess. Confusion. Everybody is calling everything IoT. So a smartphone is also IoT technically because it meets most of the criteria. But you know what? Most of the interesting IoT devices do not use internet as a communication protocol. They are local. They don't use big data. They don't use cloud. In medical devices, smart devices, a lot of it is without internet. So it's a difficult area. It's robotics. IoT device, but it's also essentially robotics. So it's not going too much as long as it is smart and it has some degree of software. It does some degree of connection. It's fine. I will take a look at, but when we started, something reminded me. I probably guess my age. One of my favorite books when I was a student was Cola. Good book describing the innovation details of the West discovered Eastern Europe. And people talk about the positioning and the connect that it's the wrong way of looking. The audience was looking for something and they discovered details. So with IoT we have found in this interest. Open shops, we have worked with people sitting technical things. We have 200 people up and the audience are looking for doing something else. We in the ecosystem people have a hard time. We have to take expectations. So all of those here, please for help. This happen. Ecosystem. About some of we have it. As a fab lab, IIT Kanpur, IIT Mumbai, my personal impression is they're not well trained. Those labs don't get, but they are labs. And there are so you have, and it's, but it's not or design, which is so there are people is for IoT in India. Very key and money to help us. So I am hard put to say how we are doing for the some things going. There's a lot of interest from people. They NASCOM is trying to play. I mean, this whole event. When Ravi Gururaj was planning it, his initial idea was 15 companies will do a pitch. I told him not going to happen. There's not 15 good companies to come and pitch. We have to do it differently. So I must thank Amit and Anil for getting something up which has been extremely interesting. My only suggestion to him is give more time for people to ask questions. The PPT presentation just gets the discussion started. It's a little too tight. So my suggestion is create more space for question answers. We also learn from the questions that get asked. And I think TIE, NASCOM and ISA is the Indian Electronic and Semiconductor Association. They have a very large role to play. I have Venki here where we'll talk about it. The government also has a role to play on this. Next slide. I think there has been a lot of discussion. Parag spoke about hardware design and Shyam spoke about what it needs for engineering. So you all know that hardware is different. It's different than software. The stack is different. So I will not spend much time. Without much ado, I will ask Nihal, who runs a very large maker group in Bangalore called IoT BLR, and he's got a reasonable facility to come and talk about it.
Thanks, Arjun. Yeah, so IoT Bangalore is an open community for people interested in the Internet of Things. So, our members would be students, would be young professionals working in companies, a lot of entrepreneurs, hackers, makers, hobbyists, researchers, anybody interested in the Internet of Things who want to kind of learn, connect with other enthusiasts. They come to IoT Bangalore, and what our mission has been is to get more people to make things and connect them up to the internet, right? So actually make things. It's a bit of a challenge because not everybody understands hardware, and of course the software part which connects with the hardware works together. But that's why we're trying to make a difference by conducting workshops, by conducting training sessions, and also encouraging people to come and use the facilities that we have to actually build things. So on that note, we've kind of set up a lab along with some of you here might have heard of him. He's a big proponent of the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem in Bangalore. So they've given us some space in Bangalore for labs. There's a basic lab in JP Nagar. We have a lot of equipment, a lot of good sensors, a lot of communication modules. So those of you who are interested and you want to make use of the lab, just come over. It's about 500 rupees a month is what we charge. For students, it's $250 a month. So that's less than a movie ticket, basically. Right? Movie ticket and popcorn will cost you more than 500 rupees. So do come over and start using those things. What we also ask is, if you do have equipment which you're not using, do donate it to the lab. Then you can come and use it at the lab as well. That's how the lab has grown, and that's in some sense I think that's how we're also looking to get the community involved and the community active and coming and using the lab. We do have a directory as well. The directory basically has information about what are the different IoT companies in India, what are the different suppliers available, what are the labs available. So all of this information is actually crowdsourced. We created an open document and we put it up for everybody to use, and we said, take information from this. If you know of any, add information back to it. And so that's been growing. So those of you who are looking to see, if you want clients for your company, or if you want to offer consultancy services, or you want to get consultancy services, do take a look at the sheet, add to it, and projects, whatever is their expertise level, they can start with that. One of the projects that we did was a t-shirt, which is what Arvind was mentioning. It's a smart shirt that we started off as a fun project. We just said, let's put some intelligence into a regular t-shirt, see what it can do. And what we wanted to do is make it a programmable t-shirt, so that even after the t-shirt has been let's say at least the market or the prototype that you built, you can actually reprogram it, which is essentially the current version of it just runs an Arduino, uses an Arduino to do a couple of things, which has a few inputs. Previously, we were using it to kind of run the presentation, but essentially we can program it to do anything else. The second one was basically trying to just humanize soil and air quality monitoring. The smiley face means that there's sufficient water in the soil, sufficient moisture, and the froggy face means there isn't enough. The third one was actually a result of a hackathon that we ran. This was a smart insulin pen which tracks your insulin intake. The team that developed it was actually a college team, third year of engineering, and they did a great job. They actually won the hackathon. So, what are some of the things that you could do to get involved? I would suggest that just be active in the ecosystem. Come join our group. That's the Facebook link for it. We're also on meetup.com. So join the group, be active, participate in discussions. More importantly, start building things, right? And if there's anything that you need, just ask for help, because there are enough experts, there are enough equipment, there's enough resources available. So if you need anything, just ask and we will be there to help. If you want to set up labs and communities, please do that, we will help for that as well. So there's so much more that you can do, but I think the first step is just start off and just to have a little bit of fun while doing it all. I'll hand back to Arvind with a shortage of time, but we can discuss more.
Thank you. Yeah. I think these two guys have been shepherding us a lot, so we're running on a tight budget. So I think you have heard about the difficulties of developing IoT devices, Shyam, etc. But there's one phrase I want you to leave with, and this came to me from a VC. IoT products require inventory. They require a field spare. Things go wrong, you have 100,000 things. So he basically said, hardware is hum. Hardware means much more money. I think what happens with Makerspace is what I call a learning school. It's not enough. To really do serious work, you need a finishing school. There are lots of things about engineering, etc. done. And one of the best persons to talk about is Dr. Jay Warrior. Jay is heading the Robert Bosch Center for Robert Bosch Cyber Physical Center at Indian Institute of Science. It's a strange animal. It's not a Robert Bosch thing. They have given money, they have lent their name. They're paying for it for 10 years. Good. It's an Indian Institute of Science establishment, but it's run by Dr. Warrior, who's not a faculty in a traditional academic sense. He was a Silicon Valley executive. He's here and is running it. So it's exactly the sort of hybrid between academic, commercial, and well-funded sort of incubator or not an incubator. They can make up his mind, which has been extremely impactful. He has at about 20 projects, maybe down to 15 down the year. I would like Jay to talk a little bit about the finishing school for IoT startups.
Okay. So I thought I'd just start by, on one slide, explaining why we're here and what we kind of do. So when we talk about cyber-physical systems, most of you know them as SCADA end-to-end. So it's computers and networks, sensors, actually integrated solutions. Our goal is translating technology for impact. So what this means is this is actually a custom designed organization in a way. So in some aspect, we look like a lab or an intellectual institution. After all, I have 450 PhDs just sitting around me. If you have a problem on anything that you want, whether you want a better chemical sensor, whether you need analytics, whether you need somebody who can do some mechanical design, make you better tweezers that can actually pick up, let's say, a cell, there is somebody at ISU who has some kind of background in that. So our goal is to try and find a way to translate these technologies into impact. Now, one of the things that Hadid said that is actually, to me, very key in this model that we use is we are problem-centric. So unlike being focused on technology, we are focused on the problem. And we look for areas where there are major problems. There are three of them. Healthcare for us, which is healthcare out of the hospital. So it's the kind of stuff that allows us, we're building, for example, a small tricorder. It's a platform that can go out, has plug-and-play sensors that can provide access to a range of pluggable medical sensors and can be deployed fairly simply out into low-resource areas. We work in water, where fundamentally we're interested in the quality, in the volume, and the levels of water anywhere in India. So projects that look at that are the kind of things that we do. And of course, part of it also means agriculture. In energy, we're interested in renewable energy, and there we're interested in things, particularly in the area, things that are based around solar energy. So There are just some examples of projects that are going on at the center. We have a simulator for endoscopy, which is a fairly complex medical procedure. It's patented, has a new third degree of freedom that's not available in commercial endoscope simulators in the world. It's a fundamental training tool and is a necessary building block if we're going to build our education center in India. Consumer energy monitoring, we've taken a totally different picture. What we do is we monitor from inside the house rather than from the meter, and we use people and people-driven models to actually be able to provide that information. We have a non-invasive breath sensor that actually replaces the old breathing tubes and things that you use, and so that's gone through some kinds of commercial trials, and we're doing that. Some do you need? And then finally, how can we put these pieces together so that you have a sellable story that you can take your ideas to the next stage? And so in a sense, we mirror what I think is, those of you who have gone through this process will understand it's a very practical way of how you have to go around things. If you don't have a big problem and it's a real pain, and you don't have a business model where you know how to extract money from the ecosystem, there's not much point in your fiddling around with the technology, and that's a message you've had a couple of people say. So for us, that's where we start. We've chosen these three areas because they're extremely relevant to India, and in fact, they're extremely relevant to developing countries throughout the world. So our goal, even though we start with India, is not just India, our goal is to do this on a worldwide level basis. So why does it work for us? What do people say when they come to work with us? We have a very strong innovation process. We have the milestones, the stage gates. We can tell you what the first 10 questions are. We're going to ask you when you come in with an idea, how to take things to the next stage. We run two kinds of boot camps, which we call Kickstart 1 and 2. Kickstart 1 is done with the School of Management. It does an IP survey and analysis and helps you using something that several of you may have run across for the business model canvas to build out and flesh out what your project should be. We do a second one, which we do with the design and user interface firm, where we actually build potential prototypes. We do field testing with potential users and customers, and we develop the clear value proposition. We are part of an expanding venture ecosystem, so we decided very early on, we take these to this stage, but we don't have a partner to take them on. We have a problem for our projects. So we're developing relationships with several of them. TAI, of course, obviously, with Bill Grove, with Infuse. These are people for whom there's a symbiotic relationship that we're developing. Probably the thing that we like to distinguish us on, and that's a little bit of a joke, we're looking for non-obvious problems. Because it's in the non-obvious problems that the money lies, or the chance for impact. We do understand university-industry relationships. As you were told a little earlier, we're not a conventional sort of center at ISE. We're very much grounded in what it takes to get stuff out. We are pretty quick at the turnaround, quicker than most organizations, but not certainly at the level that we are. We have access both through some facilities that we have, as well as ISE, to state-of-the-art facilities. And really, our focus is on realization and impact. So certainly that's one of the key measures for us in terms of how we are evaluated, in terms of how well we are doing as an organization. And the last bit that we need to put all this together and grease it is we have the ability to make small investments in startups to get you to a proof of concept stage, to get you something in hand so that you have a good story, so that when you go to the next level, you have at least a consistent, well thought out framework and some evidence of work that's been done to say, look, I have a genuine idea, I have the right kind of people, I know how to build this team, give me the money so I can make it happen. Thank you. Very good.
Thanks, Jay. All right, so you finished school. Now what do? You have to get ready for the big job. So this is where at TAI our biggest learning is.
Right, because private equity
IoT design. There's a lot of activity happening here. It's probably not there in other parts. So I told him, apart from moving to Bangalore, the other option is you better get something going there. So that's the next part of the thing. So I will be with ISA. I will be in Hyderabad on 20th November. We are planning another thing in January in Delhi and in Pune. So we want to be able to get you guys plugged in and started. We will need help. So we will reach out to you. November 20th. So we need help. But here is a list of maker groups you can see, and none of them are very large or big. So you will have to experiment, and you will have to help us figure out which ones we need. We want to be able to get things going. Mumbai has 2, and Bangalore probably can handle 2 or 3, but I think most places don't. This is not the end all. you know, there are all sorts of people doing all sorts of things. So the other day I have a friend, I used to run with clean tech, solar energy, renewable and all that. And I was chatting about all this work and he was complaining that I'm not spending time with him. And then it turns out that at university in Berhampur, NEST, he's doing a lot of IoT projects. They have got a lab, they have done micro energy, rural grid and connectivity in a campus control. So I would suggest that there's a lot of things happening in isolated fragments. And one of the things I would request you is let us discover and leverage. And people in Orissa can also benefit, people in Calcutta can also benefit. So that's one of the things I will do. Before I end, last slide, we have given you a lot of links. There are 2 links I would like you to go back with. Please use #IoT for India when you are tweeting. And you can look at a Google group called India IoT Forum. It's open. Join that. If you need anything specialized which you don't think this is happening, send us a mail at iot@ibangalore.org. We are trying very hard to connect all the dots, get resources, get people. For those of you who are building products, you need help, the assistance scheme is there. It's open for a few more days. You please apply. With that, this part of the session is over. I would like to request my team to come over. We'll take a few questions and then we will. Yeah. Can you go back to the slide? Just go back. Previous one, previous one, previous one, previous one, previous. Yeah, just. So, next one. Bangalore TIE ORG SIG IoT Assistance Scheme. Okay? Yeah, come sir. Yeah, it ends on October, it just ends in a few days. Ends on October 30th. So you have just 2-3 days to apply. Yeah.
When you say manufacturing capacity, prototyping was not a problem even 20 years ago when we wrote a white paper to Azure on the government. The problem India was having was it could not make an impact on the hardware side because there was no mass manufacturing capability. Have you addressed that or are you just staying at the prototype stage?
I think on the hardware side, and my friends at ISA will disagree, their ambition in life is to compete on mass manufacturing, but to be pragmatic, if you want to make millions of anything, we're not there. But the smart thing is, a lot of these things, Vishal and others are doing, it's not millions, it's 20,000, 25,000. I think at that scale, especially if it's a lot more software and value is in a lot of other things, we can definitely compete.
The problem you
So,
are trying to address
yeah.
is to reduce your import.
Exactly. So what I didn't touch upon is something called the brownfield cluster. So one of the reason why we did this, prototyping became just a subset actually in the end. The reason why we did this is to figure out what the gaps are in that cluster. Let's say Electronic City, we went around asking them what is it that you want. So what actually came out is that they said if you can put the entire nine yards here, it will benefit us with whatever equipments we have. The SMT line, we have 3D print. We're also kind of putting a 20 crore of tool and mold facility, which is not, it's not come from IESA, but it's primarily come from the user community, right? So we're just satisfying the needs of the manufacturing sector today. Right? Yeah. So ultimately, there will be a 4x increase in production because of what we are doing here. Yeah, we did. I mean, it's all come from them, like for example, there's an equipment that costs, let us say, 1 crore of rupees, and the small and medium scale industries are unable to kind of buy it because it doesn't make ROI sense for them. But if he kind of, if he has, let's say, 4 or 5 people who want to use that, then it makes sense, right? So what we've done 2 things. We have also seen, we have made sure that the usability happens of the entire equipment that we put in there. Right. Second, we're also making sure that the cash flow that happens, they're above water all the time. Right? Otherwise, hold your breath. We have just got an in-principle approval for them. We're not got the final approval from the government yet. Right? So we really don't know finally to what scale that will take shape in the end.
It's usually announced a couple of weeks in advance, and we try and meet at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. Depending on the kind of event, the number of people will vary. If it's a hands-on workshop with a lot of hardware, there's an instructor and people are working on something, so you'll probably have about 30 to 40 people. If it's more of a talk someone from the industry is coming in talking about, they made this deployment and what they learned from the process, it could go up to about 100 people. Usually we